hadn't already met, my name is Greta, and thank you for being here and practicing yin. I feel I was just talking to Rochelle, but it's kind of the perfect day to practice yin. It's dark and dreary out and wet, and it's also a new moon or a dark moon, whatever you want to call it. So it's a perfect day to practice energetically, it feels like. And we've been kind of in this period of rest and like this almost forced pause. So really peak time to practice yin. But let's all find a comfortable seat. You can shut the eyes down if that feels safe to you. Feeling the points of contact between your glutes and the mat, whatever you've set up on. And then let the spine spring up and the shoulders relax down. And we'll start with a couple clearing breaths and one round of Om. Inhale in through the nose. And exhale HA out of the mouth. Do another one. Inhale in through the nose. And exhale HA, release. Let that go. And this time prepare for one Om. Inhale. Inhale in. And exhale, release. And we'll go ahead and start class in child's pose. Bringing the toes to touch, knees can extend, they can be together. Arms out long in front of you, or they can also be at your sides. And for this first part of class, I'm not going to really do the pose because I'm going to talk more about yin, but I will get into child's pose just for a second. So just a little demonstration. I think everyone here knows child's pose, though. We've all practiced together. So yin. Yin is the opposite of yang or yang. And if yang is bright, solar, active motion, energy, then yin is going to be the opposite energetically. So it's going to be more allowing and passive and accepting and a little more nourishing, sensitive. There's all these adjectives that you can find. And it's also right now a new moon and a dark moon. I have been studying the lunar cycles. A lot of it I've learned with posers, and I've also learned a lot of it from the Many Moons book and Sarah Faith Gottesdiener. And it's time for renewal and resetting. Also, the new moon can be a time to plant seeds, kind of the beginning of an intention or in a journey, or like the initiation of a cycle, like what you're going to work towards. You've got 28 days and then you can start again. And it's also a lot of allowing. And I think sometimes with allowing, it's like, oh, I'm just like allowing with what is to be. But there are a lot of things to allow. Like you can allow rage at the system to exist and just kind of, let that sit there. Or, you can allow like thoughts of the past to come in and out and allow reflection and receptivity. So allowing is just being with it, turning towards it, and trying not to identify or judge. So energetically, I got carried away there. That's kind of what yin is energetically. And then in terms of anatomy and physiology, yin stresses and compresses the connective tissue, the fascia, the bones, the ligaments, and the joints. Muscles, they love to stretch and move, and these more yin tissues need to be stressed and compressed and held for time, which brings me to our 3 tattvas, or 3 pillars, 3 tenets of this practice. And the first is to meet a gentle edge. And most of you, all of you have already arrived at this gentle edge. The point where you meet resistance. And I guess you could say it's passive range of motion, maybe like 70% of where you would go in more of a rigorous class, because we're going to be here for time. It needs to be sustainable, the length of the hold. And then the second tattva is to be still. And that is definitely the challenge. There are two reasons in which you would move. And the first is if you're being invited to go deeper, like maybe right now the muscles have finally stopped firing and you're being invited to go deeper. So absolutely follow that edge if it's receded. And the other really big one is if you're in pain. We never want you experiencing any pain. I think we're kind of brought up in a world where it's like, oh, like grind through the pain. But like, no, that's not what we want to do in this practice at all. And so it helps to have words that like, what is pain? So like a stabbing sensation or like sharp sensations, anything electrical. And we even want to avoid tingling. And that might come up eventually in the postures. Just it might cause nerve damage if you continue to do that. So if you're starting to experience any of those things, backing out. We're all practicing from home, so maybe like running to your bed and grabbing a pillow, or the couch cushion can be a really good bolster. So just modifying as needed. And if you have any questions, you can shoot them in the chat. I am going to try and keep an eye on the chat, or you can also unmute yourself. I actually haven't tried that in the middle of class, or I haven't seen that being done, but you can unmute yourself, so that could be a thing if you have a question or if something comes up. And then the third thing is to hold for time. And I keep track of time on my phone. That way I can give a halfway mark and a final minute. And the only other things that I'll say is in this practice, we are practicing being still and listening and giving yourself the space to do all those things. Sometimes that's when a memory will arise. So just try to turn towards anything that might come up with compassion and also kindness. And I know that can sound cheesy, but it's also just really helpful. It's like having a gratitude practice. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. But then after I really do list 10 things, I do feel better. So it's effective. And when you do come up and out of the postures, sometimes the joints are going to feel super sticky, and like you fast forwarded to like 70 years into the future and they're going to bounce back really quickly. So just really move slowly and deliberately with intention. And we're almost done with this hold here. In class today, the poses that I chose are ones that I feel like I never get to. I found myself kind of teaching like the same class over and over again, kind of following into like a pattern with the end. And so I hope this class doesn't feel disjointed, but it should be, hopefully, we'll access a lot of different parts of the body. So that's kind of the intention here, trying to reset new pathways in my brain and hopefully also your bodies. And gently over the next few breaths, can press up out of child's pose. And always taking a moment after these long holds for any organic, natural movement. And for you, it might be kicking the legs behind you after that long compression. It might be flowing through cat and cow, undulating the spine just gently. Rocking through the hips. And then we'll come back to a neutral table and come into we're actually going to come into a malasana squat. And take a moment right now. Remember, we want this to be sustainable. So I'm actually using my blocks to hold up my computer right now. But if you had like a thick book and you wanted to sit that under the glutes, and the version we're going to take here, or if you wanted to put books under the heels, if they're kind of hovering, just definitely so you're feeling grounded in this practice. And then we're going to thread the fingers behind the nape of the neck and let the head hang. So it's this very interior, rounded malasana squat. And I'm kind of experimenting with this, so we're not going to do this for super long. I'm going to say 4 minutes. So arriving, and if anybody needs to grab anything to make this more sustainable, like absolutely liberate yourself to go do that. And I'll be giving a halfway mark and a final minute. I'm using each posture as like its own mini meditation. We're at the halfway mark. And tapping back into the energetic qualities of yin, yielding, and allowing. And tapping into darkness. I think darkness can be a beautiful quality. It can have mystery there. You can cultivate intuition. People will talk about like the void, and I think void is just like it's empty space. So there's room for creativity, or there's room for destruction. So maybe tapping into any of those energies, if they pique your curiosity. And final minute. You can slowly unthread the hands from behind the neck. The palms, the arms drop down. Let the hips sink down. You can remove the arms from in between your legs. And again, take any counter movement. So it might feel good to extend the legs and just kind of bounce them upside down. Or maybe it feels good to take windshield vipering in the legs, letting them fall right to left, left to right. And then after you get all the wiggles out, coming back to a seat, and we'll meet in yin. They call this saddle or straddle. So legs are extended, kind of creating a V shape, and removing the glutes from under the sits bones. The ischial tuberosities of the pelvic bowl is tilting down. And we're actually going to do forward folds, but over the left leg, and then we're going to switch and go over the right leg. So this would be a good opportunity to grab a pillow if you have one nearby to fold over, or if you want to create a ramp. I'm actually going to grab a pillow really quick. Okay. And bring the left foot into the inside seam of your right leg. So you're coming into kind of a tree leg here. And option to grab a pillow or bolster, whatever it is you want to pad yourself with. And slowly fold forward. Let the head hang, the head be heavy. Really let the whole torso pull down, anchor down. You can relax the foot. And the whole spine can curve. It does not have to be active at all. It is all about tapping into being passive. And we're going to be on each side. It's actually going to be one of our longer holds because this is how we're going to be doing our forward fold for the evening. And coming back to the interior inspection and noticing. And when there's an external sound, you hear your neighbor or your animal snoring, just acknowledging that. Stuff like that's going to happen, especially with a home practice. And then trying to bring the awareness back. And you get to choose what you get to focus on. You can focus on a chakra, or you can focus on your breath. Or just kind of passive allowing, letting thoughts come in and out of the frame of your consciousness, not attaching to them. And we're at the halfway mark. And if you did want to use this yin practice, almost kind of like the yin before yoga nidra, just noticing what the body, messages you're receiving from the body. And traditionally, new moons or dark moons are times where you plant seeds or and then work towards a new goal. And the goals never have to be crazy, lofty things, but this could be a time to reflect and kind of choose something that you're looking to attract into your life over the next 28 days or so. And this is the final minute. And if the mind did kind of go into planning or fantasy land or Freudian territory, and sometimes it helps just to label those things. Be like, okay, that's what it was doing. This so can help you identify the patterns that your mind tends to take. And not judging or chastising yourself for doing one thing or another, but trying to come back to awareness. And with intention, slowly unfurl the spine. Rise back up. Remove the bolster or pillow, whatever you use. And after a long hold like that, might feel good just to bend the right leg, or it might feel good to come into this form of tabletop. Coming onto all fours, but the belly is up, pressing the pelvis up, maybe tilting the head back, doing like a couple bounces with the hips. Any organic natural movement. Oh, Paul has come into screen. Good thing he's taking a nap. And then we will practice on the other side. So extend the left leg out long and bring the right foot into the inside seam of the left leg like you're in a sitting tree. And we will practice this on the other side. And dropping any expectations, the side might be totally different than the other side. And that's okay because we are not symmetrical creatures. And we'll go ahead and do this one as well for 7 minutes. And giving yourself permission during this whole 7 minutes, during this whole class, to slow down and be passive, giving yourself this hour of not upholding identities. And even some identities, they're nice to uphold, but letting that go, putting it down, and just being here. And we're at the halfway mark. And I know a lot of you have a pretty advanced practice with yin, so I don't want to talk too much because I think this is really a time to yield, and I don't want to just say things to fill in the space, but I also don't want to leave you hanging. So recognizing what is happening, allowing it to be there, investigating that inner experience, kind of being the inquisitor, and then not identifying. You don't have to identify with what the mind thinks. Maybe even nurturing. And this is the final minute. Vertebrae slowly unfurl the spine, unravel the neck, move your prop out of the way, bounce the knee, shake the chest, take any counter organic movement. Maybe you want to roll the ankle. Might feel good to come in this form of tabletop, or extend the legs out and then press the pelvis up. And then the next thing I wanted to do is something we won't do for super long, but it's a toe squat and an ankle stretch. And for the toe squat and ankle stretch, come to your knees, plant them down, and tuck the toes behind you. And initially, this feels like pretty okay in my practice. But after you've been here for like a minute even, the intensity can really grow in the toes. And remember, we don't want to ever experience any pain. We're not going to end a pandemic by staying here forever. So once you reach that point flattening the top of the feet to the mat, sinking the hips down, and then coming back onto the ankles, knees rise, and then coming back into the toe squat, and alternating back and forth between those. And once we've kind of exhausted that, can everybody hear me okay? Thumbs up, hear me okay? Okay, just wanted to check and make sure I didn't do that at the beginning. Okay. The next pose, we can kind of be done with that. I know that I don't have the discipline to do that for super long, but it's really good to access your toes. The toes, I feel like, are the forgotten, they're often forgotten, and they deserve just as much respect as the hips and the shoulders, which tend to get a lot more of our attention. And the next thing I want to practice is banana asana, and this is really one of my favorite yin postures, and I never get around to teaching it, so I wanted to make sure we got it in today into our practice. And if you haven't practiced banana asana before, it is you're completely flat on your back, and I'm even going to kind of demo it standing up, and it's just a side bend through the side body, like lateral flexion, and I'll come to laying on my back, but I wanted to show you standing up just in case you had a frame of reference. So I'll come to you laying on your backs, and we'll practice towards the right first. Then slowly scoot the feet towards the right, kind of inch them over, and then twist the chest towards the right, so you're creating a banana shape or a crescent shape with the right side of your body. And option to bring the arms up overhead, kind of creating a little square or box around the top of your head. And there's also the option to bring the left leg up and over the right leg, kind of like you're lounging in a hammock or something. And we're going to be here for 5 minutes on each side. And if at any point the arms, they start to fall asleep, sometimes mine do, you can always bring the arms down by your sides. They don't need to stay up overhead. I want to make sure I've got this on the timer here. Awesome. And I did want to share a little tidbit of information. I watched the banana asana video that Bernie Clark created. He has like videos on a lot of the yin poses, and he talks about the IT band. And I didn't know this information, and I introduced this information once before, and then I actually forgot it, and so I had to relearn it. The IT band is a thick ligament or a tendon, and I was under the false impression that it was a muscle. I just always thought that. So when we feel a tightness, we associate with, my IT band, it feels kind of tight. It's actually the muscles that connect to the IT band and also to the ilium, which is the very tip of your hip. It's that pointy part. And so the muscles are going to be the tensor fascia latae and also the gluteus maximus, the intercostal muscles, which are the muscles in between the ribs, and then also your internal and external obliques. So you're really accessing all of those muscles in this stretch right now. And it's so rare that we spend 7 minutes stretching or stressing and compressing the connective tissue in the fascia there. We'll often do side stretches in the middle of the yoga class, so we'll get to those muscles, but we don't necessarily get to the connective tissue and the fascia. So really, I'm stoked about this hold. Yeah, so we'll do banana asana on the left and the right, and then we'll do a twist and shavasana. Yin classes fly by so fast. Remembering it's not about the intensity of your edge, it's about the sustainability. And we're at the halfway mark. And final minute. If you put the left leg up and over the right, you can bring it back down. Swivel your chest back towards center. Might feel good to do a few shoulder rolls. Might want to press up into a bridge really quick or kind of get some gentle wiggles out. And then we'll move to the other side. So practicing banana asana on the other side. Lengthen the legs out long and inchworm them over towards the left. And bring the arms up overhead and scooch the torso towards the feet, creating this crescent shape or banana shape with your body. And also knowing there's no perfect way to do any yoga posture. There's no ideal edge to be at. So knowing that the edge that you're at is absolutely perfect. It never has to fit an image or a mold. And also I think with a lot of even like astrology and like following the lunar cycles, like however you're feeling is correct. So if you don't feel like rest and regeneration is for you, like if you're compulsively cleaning your apartment all day, like that's how you're experiencing this part of the process. So knowing that that is absolutely okay as well. There's no one assigned way to do anything. Just noticing your patterns and how you process through all cycles. And this is halfway. And this is the final minute. And one thing, I took David's yoga nidra class on Sunday, and he talked about it being a new moon in Taurus, and how Taurus is a notorious time for grounding. So finding the earth, feeling the points of contact between your body and the floor, and really allowing yourself to feel heavy and anchored into each posture. We're at the final few seconds here. You can gently come back to center. Unwrap the legs if you've chosen to wrap them. And release the arms down. Hi, Jonathan.
Hello.
You can do any bouncing or wiggling. Maybe even hug the knees in towards your chest. Feeling the sacrum flatten on the spine. Roll the ankles. Any organic, natural movement. And we're going to seal class out with a twist on the left and the right, and then Shavasana. And I'm going to kind of leave the twisting action up to you, how you'd like to practice it. I'm going to cue twisted root or eagle leg, so if you'd like to join me in that practice, you're welcome to do so. You also can just let the entire structure of the legs drop to the left side. That's also a really good way to twist and seal out the practice. So coming to lay on the back, and you can hug the knees in towards your chest. And first, extend the left leg out long. And hug the right knee in towards your chest. Feel the compression in the right leg. And roll the ankle towards the right. Roll the ankle towards the left. And then for twisted root or eagle legs, bring the right leg up and over the left. And option to go for a double bind, bringing the right shin behind the left calf muscle. Planting the feet down. And let the legs fall towards the left. Right arm can go out like half of a T. Your gaze can follow your arm and your fingers, or you can have your gaze up. An option to bring the left hand on top of the belly or on the chest. And gentle supine twist. And noticing if there's any tension in the forehead or the jaw, slackening there, letting the tongue fall from the roof of your mouth. And relaxing any tension you might have in the belly or the glutes. And almost like you could flick it away, like you can flick away water. And we'll be here for 3 minutes on this side and 3 minutes on the other. This is the halfway. And final minute. And bring the knees back towards center. And unravel the legs, unravel the feet, and plant both feet back down. And then we'll go ahead and do all of that on the other side. So extend your right leg out long and hug the left knee in towards your chest this time. Feeling the compression, you can roll the ankle clockwise and counterclockwise. And option to just let the right leg fall towards the right. Or if you'd like to do the twisted root version, bring the left leg up and over the right and thread the left shin under the right ankle. And then let the legs fall towards the right. Left arm goes out like half of a T. Your gaze can follow your hand. Not super important. Gaze can also be up. What is important is that you are releasing any residual tension or anxiety. I'm using this twist like you would twist out like a wet washcloth to let all that go, let the water drip off, let it wash over you. Halfway. Final minute. And slowly bring the knees back towards center. Unravel your legs and hug the knees in towards your chest, coming into Apanasana. It's kind of a cannonball shape. You can thread the arms around the tops of your shins, giving yourself a hug or an embrace here. And if there was something that you came upon during your practice that you're looking to initiate or to invite into your life, maybe embracing yourself, embracing that quality in right now, and then releasing into Shavasana, final rest. You can extend the limbs out long, remembering you don't have to stay in the confines of your mat. Literally, a production company chose these sizes, so definitely you can take up more space than that. Or if you like to practice on your belly, or if you like to practice in a fetal position, finding where it makes sense to you. And we'll be here for a few minutes. I will let you know when it's time to come up and out of the practice. And if you're not sure where to focus your attention for these last final minutes, since we are in a very yin and lunar practice, and we're practicing receptivity, and it's the dark moon, it's a good time for the mystery and also intuition. I today offer Third Eye Center as a point to send your awareness to. I know a lot of us are visual people, and it can help to have a color there. So for me, sometimes it's like purple or like a violet light. The color is honestly it's not important, but if it does help you focus your attention, that can be helpful. And that is the seat of intuition and imagination and also creativity. And or just intuition, imagination, and clear vision. And it can be creativity. Maybe you get an idea from it. Zeroing in and coming back to third eye center again and again. And this is not a nidra practice, it is a yin practice. But if you wanted to state something in the present tense like it already existed, an I am or an I have statement, now would be a good time to do that practice. And you can gently invite micro movement back into your fingers. Maybe a little bouncing of the legs. Going left and right with the neck. Scrunching the face. If you'd like to, extend the arms above you like you would, stretching in the morning, and hug the knees in towards your chest. And then choose if you'd like to roll over onto the left or the right side. The left side is going to be more lunar, like we've been practicing, and the right side is going to be more solar, more active. And maybe now, after this lunar practice, you need a little yang. So you want to roll onto the right, you want to have some energy for making dinner, or maybe you're just ready to fall onto the left. You've really been nurturing these qualities and you want to continue to do so. Using the bicep like a pillow. And at this point in class, I always like to send a wave of gratitude first and foremost to yourself for doing this practice. It definitely, this practice in particular goes against the grain of a lot of, I think, what is expected of us. And right now we are really in a period of rest and regeneration, and it is Earth Day, and I think the Earth is appreciating that we are slowing down. So honoring yourself for doing this practice is valuable. And I also like to honor your experiences and your process, knowing that where you are in your process, that is enough. And also the teachers that have taught me, who I'm then able to share this information with you. I always am feeling like I need to cross-reference when I say things. And also your teachers, they can come in many forms. Also the lineage of this practice, all the teachers that have come here before me, and also honoring the land that we occupy, at least in Seattle here, the Duwamish territory. And you can gently press yourself up to a seat. You can keep the eyes closed. And we'll meet with hands at heart center. And this is a gesture, a mudra. The Anjali mudra represents a non-dualism. So you can even really think of it as like a negative magnet and a positive magnet, and then they meet at the heart, that magnetism, whatever it is, it brings them together. And then bringing hands from heart center to third eye. Strengthening connection between your hearts, the chitta, the heart mind, and also your intuition and clarity and vision. And bowing forward to seal in your practice, honoring the whole self, the dark qualities and the light, for they're both equally valid. And gently unfurl the spine, come back up to a seat. And I would love if we closed out class together with a rolling Om. I'm gonna unclip this little microphone doodad that I had no idea I would use so much one day. And I'm going to unmute. Boop. And I'm going to stop the recording just in case somebody doesn't feel comfortable being recorded.